landing page. Let's try to build something like Netflix landing page, which should look similar to this one. Okay, we want to build something like this, again using the flex concept only. With the help of flex, we will take some other properties help as well to create this kind of user interface. Now, before we develop that user interface, we need to learn some more things. We have to learn about something called VW and VH units. Here, VW stands for viewport width and VH stands for viewport height. So basically, VW stands for viewport width and VH stands for viewport height. Okay. So basically, they are the units. They are the units like your pixel and percentage. How your pixel and percentage are the units. In the same way, VW and VH are also units in your CSS. Okay. So basically, viewport is nothing but if I ask you what is the viewport of this particular page, viewport is nothing but the visible area. So as of now, for us, this is the entire visible area, right? So from here to here, this is the visible area of width. So this is called VW. VW starts from here and it ends here. VH means viewport height. Viewport means the visible area. So viewport height starts from here, it ends here. Okay. So VW and VH occupies the complete screen, which is visible to the user, Now, if I take one example here, something called viewport width and viewport height .html. Okay. Now, if I just create my document here, basic document. In this, let's suppose I am taking one div. Okay, adding some content here, something called lorem 20. Now here I will add some styles to this div. Selecting the div tag. Okay. Now here I will add the background color. Background color red. And just color to be white. Now if I open this document, just see the width and height of this particular div. By default, let's see what will be the width and height of this particular div. Okay, so this is the by default width and height of our div. So if I go back here, I can just select the body and I can remove that margin as well. If I remove that margin, so by default, what is the width of your div? The width of your div is 100%. So whatever screen, whatever space is available, it is occupying entire space when it comes to width. But when it comes to height, what is the height of our div? It depends upon how much content we have. So depending upon the content height, that is the height of our div. Now I want my div height should be complete. It should occupy complete screen. I want my div should occupy the complete screen. So if you want this div should occupy the complete screen and the height of your div should change based on screen size, then we can go with the unit called VH. So here what we can do, simply we can assign height, and instead of assigning percentage, what we can do, we can assign the unit called VH. VH means viewport height. Whatever height is visible, you occupy that entire height. Whatever height is visible, we are saying that to occupy that entire height. Now, if I save it, if I go back here, now see the width of my div is complete 100%. Whatever screen height available, it is occupying the complete screen height. Same way, VW also. Now, anyways, by default, the width will be 100%. So here we will not be able to see that effect. If you go back here, now see, this is complete. So VW and VH are one more units very similar to your pixel and percentage. Viewport means the visible area of your screen. Now, if you say 100 VW, it will occupy complete width. If you say 100 VH, it will occupy complete height. Whatever visible, whatever space is visible to you, that everything will be occupied. Okay. Now, what is the difference between VH and percentage? Like if I say 100%, and if I say here 100 VH, what is the difference? Suppose here if I give 100%, will it occupy the complete screen? If I give here height as 100%, do you think that it will occupy this complete screen? What will be your answer? Okay, no, because percentage value will always depends upon the parent element height. Now for our div, who is the parent? For our div, body is the parent. So this percentage unit will always depends upon the parent element. So whatever parent element height will be there, right? Whatever parent element height will be there. So that parent element heights 100% it will take. Okay, but if you want your screen, if you want your entire whatever screen is available, if you want that entire height, then we have to go with VH. Now if you see here, if I give that 100% height, now see it is not occupying the complete space. Now why it is not occupying? Because it is based on body height. Now if I go and add here border for body, 4 pixel solid, something like green. If I go back here, now see the height of my body is also the same. It depends upon the content, how much content we have. Suppose if I increase the height, if I say here something like 400 pixel, so I'm giving the height to my body element. Now if I save it, if I go back here, now see this is the height of my body element. Now here for div, if I say 100%, 100% means it will take the 100% of its parent element. So for this div, the 100% is this much space from here to here. If I say 100 VH, then div will take the complete height, whatever space is visible on the screen, it will occupy the complete space. Now see, it is occupying the complete space. This is the difference between VH and percentage. So here 100 VH. If I give 100 PH, it is occupying the complete space of the screen. If I give percentage, then it will occupy the complete space of its parent element. So for the div, the parent element is body. So whatever height of body you have, it will occupy that complete height. Now see, it is occupying the complete body height only. Okay. So like this, we have to be very careful whenever we are using units. As per our requirement, we have to use the units. Okay. So now let's come back here. Now let's learn one more property, that is background property. Did you ever seen that there is some background image on your web page? So in a lot of web pages, you will see, right, they will apply the background image. If you see here on this particular web page also, in the background, we have some image here. Even if you go to the Netflix website, in their background, you will see some image here. Here they might have removed that image, but as of now, they have added the color. So let me try here something else. Now, if you see, this is the Netflix landing page, actual Netflix website. Now, in the background, if you see in the background, we have some image. So like this, you will find a lot of websites where they will add some background image. Now, if you want to add a background image, then in our CSS, we have a property called background-image. There is a property called background-image. And to this property, we have one formula, that is URL. It's like one function. In this function, in the double quotes, we have to pass the image URL. Here we have to pass the image URL. Whatever image you want to add in the background, that image path or that image URL you have to pass as a first argument to this URL. So this is the syntax. Okay. So what this background image property will do, whatever image link you are passing, it will just add that image as a background to that element. It will add that image as a background to that element. So let's see here one example. So here I am just creating one file called background.html. Creating a simple document. In that, I am taking one div. Okay, let me give some ID here, something called BG image, something called background image. I will select this div. Hash BG image. To this div, I will add some height here and width. Width, anyways, it will be 100%. Or instead of 100%, I will add 1200 pixel. And I will add height property, maybe something like 400 pixel. And border, something like 2 pixel solid. Let me give black. So what I have done, I have taken one div. In this div, okay, I have taken one div. To that div, I have assigned one attribute. I have selected that div using ID approach, and I have applied some properties here. Okay, now let me load this page in the browser. Okay, now this is our div. Now to this div, if you want to add any background color, then what we will do? Simply we will use background color property. And whatever background color you want, you can add that. Maybe something like light coral. Now some background color will be added. Now instead of background color, I want to add some background image. So if you want to add a background image, then what you need to do? Simply you have to take background image property. And you have to call URL, nothing but one function called URL. And inside this URL function, in double quotes, you have to just pass the URL of any image or path of any image. Okay, so I have one image. I have a URL of one image here. So let me show this image. This is the image. So this image I want to add as a background. If you want to add this image as a background, this image URL, you have to just pass in this double quotes. Now save it. Now if you go back here, now see that image is added here. Now if you see, the size of image is very small. This is the actual size of image. It starts from here, it ends here. But our div width is very big. Compared to image width, our div width is big. Compared to image height, our div height is big. That is the reason internally what your browser is doing, it is just repeating this image. It is just repeating the background image so that your entire div will be occupied by the image. Okay. Now this is our background image size is very small. That is the reason this image is repeating. Now, suppose if you don't want your image should repeat it, if you don't want to repeat your image, then we have one property called background repeat. There is a property called background repeat. And this background repeat property will take 4 values. If you say no repeat, if you assign no repeat value to this property, then your background image will not be repeated. It will not be repeated. Now, why your background image is repeating? Because the size of your background image is very small compared to the size of your div. That is the reason background image is repeating. By default, it will repeat. If you don't want to repeat, your background image, then you have to assign this property, background hyphen repeat, and the value of that property should be no repeat. So if I go back here, okay, let me just copy one more div here. I will add one more div, and in between that I will add some br tag so that we will get some space. Now here I will say background repeat. Okay, so I will select here background repeat. Now if I save it, if I go back here, you will get two divs. Okay, this is one div, this is one more div. Now for this div, I don't want to repeat my background image. So what I will do for that, simply I will add one more property here, that is background repeat. And the value of this particular property will be no repeat. And if I save it, if I go back here, now see the background image is not repeating. Now background image is not repeating. Here background image is repeating. Here background image is not repeating. Okay, just for our identification sake, I will just add here h2 also. h2 background image. Here also I will add h2. I will say background repeat property. Background repeat. Okay, so the value of this background repeat we have assigned as no repeat. That is the reason the background image is not repeating. If you want to repeat, then you have to assign the value repeat. By default, it is repeat. Okay, this is the default value. So if you want to repeat background image, then what you have to do? Simply you have to assign here repeat. If you say repeat, your background image will be repeated. Now see, here background image is repeated. If you want to repeat your background image only in x-axis direction, if you want to repeat your background image only in x-axis direction, then we have one more value, that is repeat x. If you say repeat x, your background image will repeat only in x-axis direction. Now see, background image is repeating only in x-axis direction. I will increase the height here, height of my div. Okay, now this is the height of my div. But this background image is repeating only in x-axis direction. It is not repeating in y-axis direction. If you want to repeat background image in y-axis direction, then you have to give the value repeat y. It will repeat only in y-axis direction. It will repeat only in the y-axis direction. Okay, so these are the 4 values we have for this property. No repeat, repeat, repeat x, and repeat y. Repeat y. Suppose you don't want to repeat your background image, but you want that image should occupy complete div. You want that image should occupy complete div by stretching that image. Okay, then we can go with one more property, that is background size. We can give some size to our background image. So if I go back here, so let me take one more div here. So I will take on the top background size. I will assign here ID as a size. Okay, now let me just repeat this property. Now here I want no repeat. height, let me just add it as a 500 pixel. And here, let me assign the value size. Okay. So what I have did, I have just taken one h2 and div. I have given the ID as background size. I have selected that and I have applied some CSS. Width, height, border are same. Just background image, background repeat. Now it looks something like this. Okay, no repeat. We are not repeating the image. So let me just select the body tag also and let me remove that margin. Yeah. Now if you come back here, now see, this is our background image. Now we have a background image, but this image is not occupying the complete div. Reason, our image size is small compared to the div size. But somehow I want this image should cover this entire div. Should cover this entire div. So how can we cover this image in entire div? Means just by stretching the width and height of this image. If you stretch the width and height of your image till it occupies the div, then this image will occupy entire background of your div. So how to make this image should be stretched till the size of your div? For that, simply we will use one more property called background size. And the value of this background size property we will give as cover. So we are saying that background image should cover that entire div. So if you go back here, now see, let me just go back here. Save. Here, let me add. I need to do here, right? So this property we have added here. So let me just copy this and keep on the top. Now here I'm adding the property called background size. And the value is cover. If I save it, go back here. Now see, that image is covered entire div. That image is covered your entire div. Now it is not repeating, but it is covering your entire div. But here you are losing your image. You are losing your image pixels. You are losing here your image also little bit. Now your image should be like this actually. But here if you see, little bit you are losing your image. You are just losing their legs. Now why we are losing? Because they have stretched it. They have just stretched that image. So if you don't want to lose the image, actual image, and you want to occupy as much as possible, then we can go with one more value, that is contain. We can go with one more value, that is contain. Contain means it will try to fit your image as much as possible. Now see, it is trying to fit that image inside your div without losing its actual size. And it is trying to stretch as much as possible. If beyond this, if it tries to stretch this image, then you will lose the image pixels. You will start losing the image pixels. So this is contain. If you say cover, it will just cover up your entire div, irrespective of how that image will look. Here it is not losing its original size, but it is trying to stretch as much as possible without losing its original size. So there are three values that we can configure for this background size: contain, cover, and one is auto. Auto means original size. Whatever original size you have for your image, so that size will be assigned. If you say auto, that is the default value. Original size will be applied. Okay. So here, these are the three values, and you can give custom values also. You can add custom width and height. You can add custom width and height for background size property. Now I want you guys to explore this part. How to add custom width and height for your background image using the background size property. I want you guys to explore this part. Yeah. In the cover, clarity will miss because we are stretching the image, right? So obviously you will miss the clarity. Pixel will be used. Image pixels will be used. Okay. Yeah. I will give the GitHub link and WhatsApp group link at the end of the session, guys. Okay. So who are new, for them, I will just give that GitHub link and WhatsApp link at the end of the session. Is it clear, guys? These three properties: background image, background repeat, background size. We have one more property, that is background attachment. Background attachment. Using this background attachment, we can fix our image. We can fix our image in that particular element. If you scroll that element, that image will not scroll. We can fix the background image at particular position. Okay. For example, if you come back here, let me just add one more div here. Background attachment. Using background attachment, we can fix our background image inside that div. Even if you scroll that div, the background image will not scroll. Background image will not scroll. Okay, I will just copy this. I will go back here. I will add here. Hash. I will copy all these properties. I will add here. Okay, width, height. Let me increase the height. Height, I will say something like 800 pixel. Something like 800 pixel, or maybe something like 1000 pixel, I will say height. Let it be border, background image, no repeat. Background size, I will remove background size. Okay. Now, inside this div, I will add some paragraph. Now, if I go back, now see, here we have a paragraph, we have content here. So let me just make that content color as a white. So here we can add color property, something like white. Or maybe something else we will add, green. Yeah, we got some content here. Now this is the height of your div. This is the height of your div. Now see, if I'm scrolling my div, my background image is scrolling. See here, my background image is scrolling. Now my requirement is this background image should not scroll. This background image should not scroll. That is my requirement. If I'm scrolling div should scroll, but this background image should not scroll. It should be fixed at particular position. So in that case, what we can do, we can assign one more property here, that is background attachment. And the value of this we can assign as a fixed. Okay, now let me add some more content here. Let me just copy this content as it is, and let me add this content here. Now see, if I scroll, my content will scroll, my element will scroll, but my background image is not scrolling. See, my background image is not scrolling. My background image is not scrolling. And this background image will not scroll only within that div, only within that div. If your div is Suppose this is your div. This div is ending here, right? Now, once this div comes to the image, then that image will go off because we don't have that element only. But inside that div, that image will not scroll. Inside that div, that image will not scroll. That content is scrolling, but image is not scrolling. Now see, the image is not scrolling. So within the div, that image, background image will not scroll. Background image will not scroll. If you say scroll, if you assign the value scroll, this is the default value. Scroll is the default value. Then your background image will scroll with the element. Now see here, background image is scrolling. Background image is also scrolling. But if you say fixed, your background image will not scroll. So here, fixed. And let me add that property, background size, let it be covered. Okay, now your background image will not scroll. Background image is not scrolling. If you don't want to scroll your background image, then you have to give the value as fixed. Background attachment should be fixed. Understood? Background size, background attachment. These are the two values we can assign: fixed and scroll. Okay, we have one more property called background size. Background position. Background position. We can change the position of our image. Okay, so we have nearly 9 values for this background position. Suppose this is your div. Okay, now let's suppose this is your background image. By default, it is placing on the top left like this. Let's suppose you want to change the position of this background image. You can change in 9 places. So top center, top right, then here center left, center center, center right. Here we can assign that bottom left, bottom center, bottom right. These are the 9 places where we can fix our background image, or we can position our background image. By default, it will be on the top left. If you want, you can bring your image exactly in the center of your div. So for that, you have to assign the values here, something like this. You have to give top left, or top center, or top right. If you give just left, it will be in the center left. If you give just center, it will be exactly in the center, center center. If you give right, it will be in the right center. Bottom left, bottom right, or bottom center, and then we can assign bottom right. These are the different values what we can assign to the background position property. So if I go back here, if I select one div, h2, here background position, I can take one div, I can assign one ID, bg position. We can go on the top, we can just copy this, all the properties. Here the value should be position. Okay, now we don't require color property. Let me make height as something like 500 pixel. Let it be border, image, no repeat. Attachment I want to remove, size also I want to remove. So if I go back here, it looks something like this. Okay, now if you see, this image is exactly on the top left. If you want exactly in the center, then simply you have to add the property background position. value should be center. If you say only center, it will be exactly in the center. Or you can say center space center. Then also it will be in the center. If you say center right, it will be in the right side, but in the center. It is exactly in the center. If you give just right, then it will again it will be in the right center only. It will be right center only. If you give bottom right, so it will be on the right side, but at the bottom. Now see, at the bottom on the right side. If you want on the left, here bottom left, then you have to give here bottom left. It will be on the bottom left. If you want here top right, then you have to give the value top right. So these are the 9 places where you can change the position of your background image. Okay, so here I'm just adding center so that it will be in the center. And then I'm just trying here background size as a content. Now see, like this we got it. Okay, understood? Background position property, background position, background attachment, background size, background repeat, background image. These are the 5 properties that we can apply for the background. Yes, you can apply text as fixed. For that, you have to use positions property. Okay. Now, what I want to do, now see, if I go back here to this background first div, here I want to add some content, guys. Okay. Here inside this div, I want to add some content. So I'm just adding some content here, something like lorem 200. And if I go back here, now see here I got some content. Now tell me, because of this image, this content is not highlighted, right? Because of this image, this content is not highlighted much. So what I want to do, on the top of this image, I want to add one black color shadow. On the top of this image, basically on the top of this entire div, I want to add one black color shadow. How to add one black color shadow on the top of this image or on the top of this div actually? So for that, what we will do, inside this div, okay, inside this div, we will take one more div. We will take one more div. In that div, we will add the content. Okay, we have taken inner div. So I will just give the ID as an inner div. Now to this inner div, we will apply some styles. What styles we will apply means, first of all, we will make height as 100%. And background color, we will add background color as black. So for the inner div, I am telling that height as 100%. It means for this inner div, the height will be 100%. 100% means whatever parent height is there, it will occupy that entire height. And we are adding background color to this inner div. So in this case, what happens? Background color will be applied to that inner div, and inner div will occupy complete height of your parent element, due to which the background image of your parent will not be visible. due to which background image of your parent will not be visible. Now see, the background image of this particular div is not visible. Why? Because on the top of that image, we have added this background color. Now that image is not visible. Now I want to see that image. I want to see that background image. I don't want to hide like this. So what we can do, instead of adding background color, can we add one transparent color? Can we add a transparent color? If you add a transparent color, then your background image will be visible, right? Your background image will be visible. So if I go back here, if I make color white, then content will be visible. Here content will be visible, but background image is not visible. So when background image will be visible, if this black color, instead of adding black color, if you add one transparent color, then that background image will be visible. Now the question is how to add that transparent color. So to add a transparent color, we can take the help of one function called RGBA. We can take the help of one formula called RGBA. Here R stands for red. Here R stands for red. G stands for green. B stands for blue. And A stands for transparent. A stands for transparent. R stands for red. G stands for green. And blue, basically B stands for blue. And A stands for transparent. Now what we can do, we can assign the intensity of red color. We can assign intensity of green color and intensity of blue color. We can here add the intensity of these three colors and we can form a new color. And the intensity of these colors, we can give the value in between 0 to 225. Sorry, 255, not 25, 255. If you assign value 0 to red, it means it is a low intensity. If you assign 255, it means high intensity. High intensity means it will create pure red color. It will create pure red color. If you give 0, okay, it will not give you pure red color. In the same way, green color intensity also we can assign from the value 0 to 255. 255 means high intensity. 0 means low intensity. Now you can combine these three colors and you can form new colors by just assigning some values in between 0 to 225. Sorry, 0 to 55, not 225, it's 255. So if you go back here, now instead of assigning like this color name, what I can do, I can use that formula RGBA. And if I say 255, so I am saying the intensity, this is the highest intensity of red color. Then here 0, here 0. So here 255, 0, 0. It will create pure red color. Created pure red color. If you say red color as a 0 and green color value as 255, then it will create pure green color. Why? Because the intensity of red is 0, blue is 0. So it is creating pure green color. If you say here 255 for blue and 0 for your red and green, then it will create pure blue color. Now you can combine the intensity of these three colors and you can create lot of new colors. For example, here I can give something like 125. Here I can give something like 165. Now it will take the intensity of red, then the intensity of green and intensity of blue according to the values, and it will create some new color here. Now see, some new color is created. Now this color is the combination of three colors, red, green and blue. And in that combination, blue color has more intensity, then it has green color intensity, then red color. Suppose here also if I give 155, (165), 125. If I go back here, it created something like this. Now in this color, green color intensity is more compared to blue and red. Okay. Now if I give here 0, here also I can give 0. Now see, it created brown color. Now as I decrease the value, if I make it 100, it is something like this. 10, it is something like this. So if you want to create pure black color, then you can assign values 0, 0, 0. 0, 0. If you assign 0, 0, 0, it will create pure black color. If you assign 255, 255, 255, 255, 255, it will create white color. Pure white color. Okay. So this is how we can assign the intensity of our three colors: red, green, blue, where 0 is the low intensity, 255 is the highest intensity. And we can create any new color by combining these three colors intensity. Because color names, we can remember only few, right? Nearly 15 to 20 colors you can remember by the name. But by using this code, by using these values, you can create any number of colors. We can create different variants of colors. Now, all these are dark color. All these are dark color, guys. So if I assign here 0, 0, 0. Now it is completely dark color. Now, if you want to add transparency, on this color, then we can take the help of this fourth value, that is transparent. And this transparent value we can assign in between 0.1 to 1. That's it. You have to assign the value in between 0.1 to 1. Okay. Suppose here if I assign value 1, then no transparent. If I assign here 0.1, it is a complete transparent color. See, complete transparent. If I assign in between somewhere like 0.6, then you will get something like this transparent color. Now, if I make my color as a transparent, then that background image will be visible. So 1 is completely dark, 0.1 is completely transparent. So you have to give the value in between 0.1 to 1. So here I can assign something like 4. So it will be like this. I can assign here 7. It will be like this. Okay. Understood how to add one black color shadow? Adding black color shadow is nothing but just adding a background color and making that background color little transparent. That is how we will get the shadow color. Okay. So this is one of the formula that we have, RGBA. In the same way, we have some more formula, something like we can give hexadecimal values, and there is something called HSL values also. Okay, these are two more formulas what we can use to give the different values for our colors. We can just combine red, green, blue color, and we can create a different combination of colors. But in HEX, we will use hexadecimal values. In HSL, here we will use some percentage and degrees values. So I will explain about this hexadecimal and HSL in tomorrow's session. Okay, so as of now, we know how to give the colors. How to assign the colors. The first, by using standard color name. Second, by using the formula called RGBA. These are the two ways how we can assign the colors, whether it is a normal color property or a background color property. We have two more techniques to add the color. One is using hexadecimal values. One more is HSL values. So that we will see in tomorrow's session. Okay. So in today's session, we have just covered these topics, right? Background related property, how to add black color shadow, and the VW and VH units. Nothing but viewport height, viewport width property. Now, why I have explained all this? Because all these concepts are required to design this web page. This is the original Netflix landing page. This is the original Netflix landing page. Okay, we are going to design very similar to this one, something like this. I will design up to here and I will ask you to design this part. This part and this part. Okay, let's see how many of you will be able to design. That we will see later on. Because you don't know forms concept, that is the reason I have not added this text boxes and button. And this is drop down button. So first, let's try to design this part. Okay. So maybe now it will take nearly 30 minutes more. So let's try this part now. So I'm just closing this. Taking something like Netflix.html. Okay, taking a style tag here. That's it. Now this is my requirement. I want to develop this part. So to develop this part, first of all, we have to analyze how our layout should be. First of all, we have to analyze how our layout should be. Okay, so for that, what I will do, I will simply, let's suppose this is our web page. Okay, let's consider this is our web page. To this web page, I will assign one div here. And the height of div and the width of div, I will make 100 VH and 100 VW. So I will take one div inside this. And to that div, I will assign 100 VW, 100 VH, so that it should occupy complete screen size. It should occupy complete screen size. So I will go back here to this body. I will add one div. Okay, to this div, I will assign some ID like shadow. Now I want to select this div. So here simply I will select that div. And to this div, simply I will add width should be 100 VW and height should be 100 VH. And let me add one background color and let me just test whether it is occupying complete screen size or not. So I'm just adding here red. Now see, it is occupying complete size, but here we are getting some extra space, right? That is because of your body margin. So here I can select body. I can make margin 0. So complete margin is 0 now. Okay. Can I do one thing? For this body also, can I add some background image, background color here, something like blue? And if I remove this background color, now let me see what is the height of my body. Now see, this is the complete height of my body now. Now can I do one thing here? To this body, can I apply background image? Something like URL. And here I want to apply some background image, Netflix background image. So if you want that Netflix background image, just go to the internet and search here, Netflix background images. So on the internet, you will find Netflix background images. Okay, we can just take any background image. So I want this background image. So I will copy the address and I will assign here. And if I go back here, now see, I got background image. Okay. Now on the top of this image, I want to add one black color shadow. So here, can we take the help of this background shadow? Nothing but this div. To this div, I can assign RGB A 0,0, something like 0.7. And if I save it, if I go back here, now something I got it. One black color shadow I got on the top of that image. So what I did, simply to my body element, I have applied background image because I want background image for my entire body. And to this div, I have applied this background color as a transparent color. Now what I want to do, this div I want to divide into two parts. This div height I want to divide into two parts. The first part should occupy 20% height. Second part should occupy 80%. Okay. So what I want to do, this particular part, from here to here, this I want to consider as a 20%. Okay. And this remaining part, that should be the 80%. So for that, inside this shadow div, I will take two divs. One is header. One more is something like main. So I will select here header. For header, I will add one background color, something like red as of now. And height, I will say 20%. 20% means it will take the 20% of its parent height. So for header, the parent is shadow. So it will take the 20% of shadow height. So if I save it, if I go back here, I got 20%. In the same way, this main div, I will make 80%. Height should be 80%. Now for this, I will add some background color, something like blue violet. Now I got like this. Now in this header, okay, in this header, I want something like this. In this header, I want one image and two buttons here. So if you see, this is the logo. Okay, this is just image. This is not a content. This is the logo. So if I just search here, Netflix logo, I will get that logo as well. If I search for logo here, I will get one image here, logo image. Okay, I can take this image, or I can just try some image, or I can just occupy this image from here. If I right click, I will get the option, copy image address. So inside this header, I will take one div. And for this div, I will give the ID as image div or logo. Inside that, I will take one image tag. I will assign some width. I will assign some height. Okay. And I will paste that logo here. Width, I will assign something like 150. Height, I will assign something like maybe 50. Let me just check how it looks. If I go back here, I got here this image. See, I got that image. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me remove that background color so that that image will be visible. If I remove this background color for header, Now we got that image. I will take two buttons. So after this logo, I will take one more div. And here I will add ID as a buttons. And I will add two buttons here. Something called login and something called register. Register. Now we got login and register. Now we don't want these two buttons should come like I don't want this image and these buttons should come one after another. I want they should come one beside another. So in that case, what we can do, this header div is there, right? We can make it as a flex. So here header should be display flex. Now that image and that two buttons are beside each other. Now I will just assign some width to this logo div and to this buttons div. So here I will just select hash logo width, maybe something like 40%, and buttons something like width should be 60% or 80%, 60%. If I assign 60%, my buttons are here. Now I want this image should be exactly in the center here. So we know how to bring the image exactly in the center. Here again, we can make this as a flex. Justify content center, align item center. If you make display flex, justify content center, align center, that image will come exactly in the center of the div. Same thing I can do for these buttons also. I can just copy these three properties and I can assign here. Now this button will be exactly in the center. Buttons, right? Here I have to give buttons. But we don't want here, we want at the end. It means justify content value should be flex end. If I say flex end, we got here. But we want some space here, right? Here we have some space. If you see here, we have some space here. So what I will do, instead of 60%, here, let me try 58%. If I say 58%, now see here, I got some space. Here we got some space. Okay, now I will remove this background color also, purple. This blue violet. If I remove this, I got like this. Now to these buttons, I need to add some styles, right? Okay, I will select button. I will add margin right. Maybe something like 30 pixel, I will say. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, we got some space here between two buttons. Okay, maybe 30 pixel is more. Maybe I will try less. 20 pixel. I got something like this. Now to this button, I need to add some styles. Okay. So for buttons, let's add some styles here. Let me add background color first. Red. Let me remove the border. Border none. So it looks something like this now. Color to be white. I got some color white. Now can we add padding and padding for these buttons? Can we add paddings for these buttons? From top, bottom, let's add some padding. From left, right, let's add some padding. So from top, bottom, I will try to add something like 10 pixel, and from left, right, maybe I will try to add something like 20 pixel. Okay, randomly I'm adding some value and I'm checking how it looks. It looks something like this. Maybe I will try to decrease little bit. Maybe here I will try to make it 15 and here 8. I got something like this. Okay, the font size, this font size I want to increase. So I can apply font size here. And I can make 15 pixels, something like this. I got something like this. Now, if this content, if you want to make bold, this login content, if you want to look like a bold, then we can add here one property called font weight. And if you assign bold value, then that content of that button will be in the bold structure, bold style. See, we got here bold style. Now these corners are there, right? These corners I want to bend a little bit. I want to create circular shape in the corners, corner of all these buttons. For that, we can use something called border radius property. And we can assign some value here for border radius. Maybe something like 5 pixel. Now it will create like this curve at the border of all the buttons. So we got something like this. Okay, here instead of login, let's take sign in, sign up, right? Here we have taken sign in. So let me just take sign in first button. So it looks something like this. So we just created this header part. Okay, just to create this header part, right? See, this many CSS properties we have written. So did you understood how I have created this header part? Anyone have any kind of confusion? So all the properties we are aware about, all the properties, right? That is the reason I was just going little speed. Because already we know all these properties. We know how to bring the image in center. We know how to bring the image in the center. We know how to bring two divs beside each other. How to increase height, how to decrease height, how to increase width, how to decrease width. All those things we are aware about. Now see, here we are able to build something. Okay. Now this part we will see in tomorrow's session. This part we will see in tomorrow's session. Okay. We will build this part. Now, once we have done with this part, then we will go back to our HTML. We will go back to our HTML. In tomorrow's session, I will teach you forms concept, like how to create login form, how to create registration form, how to create radio buttons, how to create checkboxes. After that, we will learn iframe. Then there are HTML5 related some elements like header, footer, main. Okay, we have some few elements that we have to learn. So we will finish this part. Once we have done with this part, then we will enter into again CSS. Again, we will come back to our CSS and we will explore remaining topics. The remaining next topic we will explore, that is grid. Grid, no, I will explain you something like another set of properties, whatever is pending. Now, once we have done with that CSS, then we will enter into JavaScript. We will enter into JavaScript. Okay. So maybe JavaScript we will start maximum by next week, or maybe in next week on Wednesday we will start. Next week, Wednesday, we will start with JavaScript. Okay, before that, we have to learn CSS only. Remaining topics of CSS and HTML, we will finish that part. Then we will start with JavaScript. Okay, this is just rough date. I'm just giving rough date. JavaScript can start before Wednesday also. It might start after Wednesday also. Like, I'm not sure. Like, as per my thinking, we should start by Wednesday JavaScript. Not this Wednesday, coming Wednesday. Okay, coming Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to add your questions on the chat. Bootstrap we will cover after JavaScript. After JavaScript, we will cover Bootstrap. Yeah, this is the GitHub link, guys. The people who don't have GitHub link, they can just take from here. And this is the WhatsApp group. You guys can join.